A big question I get is, how does emotion and logic affect the sales process? Well, the entire sales process is about emotion and it's about logic. And really, I think great salespeople understand how to leverage emotion and also leverage the logic throughout the car deal, but they understand when emotions happen and when logic is there. Don't really confuse them. Don't bring logic in too soon. Here's what I mean. Customers sit around the house, they figure out what they're looking for, the model, the color, the equipment, everything. They figure out their budget, all that information. Now they're headed down to the dealership. Maybe it's an appointment, maybe they're just gonna drop in. In their mind, they've already got the financial stuff figured out. They're excited about getting a car. They're just trying to figure out, well, do we want to get the black on black or do we want to get the gray interior? Do we want to step up to the 22-inch wheels? Are we happy with the 20s? And they're pretty excited. And they are nervous, but they're still excited. They're enthusiastic about it. And when they show up, they're closer to being 100% emotional than they are 100% logical. Okay, and I'm not saying they're 100% emotional. Some are higher than others, but they're a hell of a lot closer to being all emotional than they are logical. And it's understanding what's my job as a professional salesperson to do. Well, isn't it to get their emotions as high as I can, as long as I can? Because when they come in, my job is to greet the customer, get to know them, get them licking the paint off the car. Because at some point, when we move into what I call quadrant 3, the close and the negotiation, they're going to become logical. But if I've leveraged that emotion and got their emotion and excitement as high as I can, when I sit down and start working that deal, yes, the emotion's going to come down, but they're not going to be 100%. I've leveraged that emotion. Maybe they're only 30% logical, 70% emotional. And that's how it's going to be, because anytime you negotiate, logic comes in, right? Because we're talking numbers, we're talking insurance, we're talking down payment, trade values. It's a logical decision, but the question is always, how much emotions have you built? Because once you get to the negotiation, you're done with emotions. You're done with the excitement. Now it's just mano y mano. Now it's me, my words, my script, it's my facial expressions, my body language, and how good am I at being able to leverage that logic throughout the negotiation, whether it's gas savings close, maintenance closes, stuff like that. But it's making sure early on, how can I get their emotions as high as I can, as long as I can? So when I sit down and negotiate, then they're not 100% logical, and at delivery is always the highest emotional point of the sale. So what can mess that entire process up? Well, the number one thing to mess that process up is talking price too soon. The customer comes on the lot. How much do you want to spend a month? How much down do you have? Or customers are going to ask these questions. If you can't get around those questions, if you can't bypass or buy time until later, now I'm artificially forcing that customer to become logical in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. Now they go up, emotional. Now they're logical. Now I got to try to get them excited again. Once I'm done talking numbers, they're never going to be at 100% emotions. And when you sit down and negotiate, that's the second time in a car deal that customer will have been logical. So we artificially force that customer to be logical when our whole goal is to get the customer as emotionally invested in that vehicle as long as we can before we sit down and start talking numbers. And you have to guard yourself not to negotiate early in the deal. Build value on your feet, talk price on your seat. The other challenge when it comes to emotion and logic is, as salespeople, we have to be able to control our emotions. It's sales nature to be emotional. We're emotional creatures in sales. That's the good part of being in sales, that we're emotional. It's also the bad side, because we're always at a high level of emotions. But if I'm emotionally attached to this deal, customer is down here at 30% logical, man, that's when they end up winning the deal, because we want them to buy that car more than they want them to buy the car. We're emotionally and financially attached to it. So what I tell you is, when you sit down and start that negotiation, you have to control your emotions. If you don't control your emotions will control you. Your emotions will crush your ability to leverage logic. So I guess 2 things. 1, understand how to leverage the emotion and logic within that customer throughout the deal. And 2, make sure you control your emotions throughout the deal. And that's when you're going to have frictionless negotiations.